Hello, I'm back. Penny here with an update on my watches and wellness series. And I decided I'm going to do an update once a month. So at least initially I thought I would do every week. I don't think that's necessary. I think that once a month is a fairly recent enough, kind of time to check in. Now, I just want to explain why I'm doing this series because it may not be evident like this has turned into a watch channel. I really would rather it be kind of a lifestyle channel in some ways, but whatever. It's mostly about watches, and that's fine. But as you may have seen in my watches and wealth video, I came to the realization that real wealth is wellness for me. And I'm kind of getting sick of my own obsessiveness around watches and watch collecting. And I want this hobby to be more than collecting, or acquiring. It still may be about building the perfect collection in my head and, even in reality, but it's going to take a while. It's a process. And I have to say that to myself. So I thought about what are some other ways I can still focus on watches in my life, but also rechannel that energy into something that overall improves the quality of my life. Well, and since I gained weight during COVID, during this pandemic, I actually know exactly the number because I kept these little sheets. These were this tracking of my, health and stuff has been a long-term thing. And so I have some sheets that go back to right before the pandemic that I was kind of being on it. And then during the pandemic, I haven't done it at all. So I've gained 20 pounds. So I know exactly the number. It's exactly 20 pounds. But even before that, I needed to lose some weight, a little bit of weight anyway. Like even before that, I had goals. So I know I have lost 10 of those pounds back. Not on here, I've lost 4 like total since I've been paying attention again. But from my pandemic high, I have come down about 10 pounds. And so I've got 10 more to go. But even still, I have more than that. So this is a long-term thing. And I just feel like, goodness gracious, how can I channel some of this obsessiveness about watches and channel that into areas that really dramatically improve the quality of life for me. So that's why I'm doing this series, guys. I know it's more popular for me to announce, hey, I bought another watch, and to do reviews and stuff, but you can get that from so many channels on YouTube from people that have way more resources than I do, who are going to be buying, FP Journes and more Royal Oaks and, Pateks and more Rolexes. You can get that content from other people. What I'm giving you is my honest effort at building a collection, but also thinking about how watches relate to my life as a whole. So that's why I'm doing this series. But I'm only going to do updates once a month. I feel like that's enough frequency, and I can stick with that. So it's been 3 weeks now because I started already into April, and now it's early May. It's May the 4th, I think. So I want to do this at the beginning of each month. Okay, so let's get into May's update. I have tried out the Aura ring. This is the actual ring finally came in, and you can see the sensors inside of there. This ring, in case you don't know, does take things like your temperature, your resting heart rate, your respiratory rate. It gives you a couple of metrics, and a lot of people use it as a sleep tracker. So I put it on my middle finger. It's a much bigger size than my wedding ring, for example. And then if I'm retaining water, I put it on the other finger. So I have 2 options. It comes in this kind of neat little Apple-esque packaging. And it did take me a while because I did the sizing kit. So I eventually got this. It took about 2 weeks total between getting the sizing kit, sizing it, wearing the sizing rings for a while, and then selecting my size. I am glad I went through that process. Momentary moment of silence for some coffee. Black coffee. And what I'll say, I'll give a review of this actually after I've been using it for a while. It has its quirks in terms of counting steps, as it is not really intended for that, but it does count your steps. And what I have learned is if I am talking with my hands a lot, which I do, and standing up, it tends to think I'm I'm walking or being active. So there are a few kind of quirks like that. But so far, I'm relatively happy with it. And what I love is that I don't have to have anything on my wrist. I only have one wrist. And as you can see from the tan, it's the only wrist I want things on is my watch wrist, my left wrist, and this wrist I don't want anything on. So I have this ring now that is my fitness tracker, and I like it better than my little clip-on device that I was using. A lot better. And in terms of step counting, it's pretty comparable to what that was giving me. I'm able to use it to keep track of my steps for each day. I like that. I like being able to visualize it. So that's the Oura Ring update. Let's see. And I'll give a longer review, like I said, when I've tried it out. I think for watch collectors, maybe this is a good idea if you don't want to have another kind of tracker on your person somewhere. The watches that I've worn in the last couple of weeks included the Explorer 2 Polar, the Rolex BL&R. I used both of those, as I've said before many times, to track my fasting with the turn bezel and the GMT function. And the 24-hour bezel and the GMT function. I use that for tracking fasting. It has been amazing. But now I have switched over to the Speedmaster Professional, my favorite watch. Can you see the scratches on my Hesalite crystal? I have some serious scratches here that you can kind of see. There you go, like a gash and stuff. But this is my favorite watch by far, my first luxury watch. And I've been wearing it, and it is like an old glove. And I do tend to wear Speedy off the bracelet. I mean, sometimes I wear it on the bracelet, like in the beginning, but I love putting it on natal straps and leather straps. And it's been rainy and nasty. It's spring, in the East Coast. So it has been nasty. So this is all already gotten like dirty and stuff, but I love wearing it on natal straps. It's so comfortable. And, if you're worried about the 42 millimeter size, and I have a pretty good size wrist, but on a strap, the Speedmaster really can hug the wrist a lot more, even with these sort of flaring lugs, twisted sort of lugs. It can curve your wrist a lot better with a strap than it can on the bracelet. So that's a consideration for some, but I love it. And what I've been using it for is tracking my walking and / very light hiking. So one of the things I wanted to improve, here's my little way of keeping track of my progress. I put the date, I put my steps, I put other little details. And one of the things I was focusing on for the month of April was fasting. Can I get my fasting hours up to between meals? And I really have been pretty good with it. A few days, like I would eat at night. So my fasting was 16 hours per day. So I was fasting for 16, eating for 8 hours, or a lot of times my target was 20. So I was coming pretty close most days to the 20. And so I was using the GMT function for that. But now I'm really trying to get some longer walks in and hikes. Hike is a very sort of generous term for what I do, but going for walks in nature with the dogs. And now I'm using the chronograph function to time those outings. So I really am up to about 90 minutes at a time of going on really good long walks. And today the weather is crap, but I will be wearing the Speedmaster out in the rain. I can't believe folks that are like, don't get your Speedy wet. Don't get me started on that. Guys, the Speedmaster has a 50-meter water resistant rating, but this splashed down in the ocean. The astronauts had so many tests that they were putting this watch through, and a little bit of water in the rain or swimming is not going to hurt your watch. I feel, don't hold me accountable to that, but I wear this watch in those circumstances all the time. I don't shower with it like I do with my Rolexes because I just don't feel like I need to. So maybe there is some residual fear in the back of my mind about it, but I am not worried about getting the Speedmaster wet in general. And so I'm going to be using the chronograph watch. I've been wearing this for a week. I'm going to be wearing this for at least another week or two. And I'm going to be using this function to time our walks and get up to maybe 2 hours at a time on our outings if I can. So that would be nice a couple of times a week, getting in a lot of extra steps by going on long walks. One thing I will say about the subdials on the Moonwatch is that it's actually kind of hard to see if you've been out for an hour yet or not, because before you actually get an hour done, it looks as if this hour subdial marker is on the 1 hour. So you might look at your watch and be a little bit confused, like, has it been an hour yet? And this, it could be a little tricky, but one thing you have to realize is that you could get in there really close and you'll see that the hour marker is actually not covering the hash. It'll be just a hair, a real tiny hair before it. So that's just one of the quirks about the moon watch, is that sometimes reading that hour dial when it's really close to an hour, or even really just after the hour, can be a little tricky. So you may get a little lost with this of like, have I been out for 45 minutes, or, has it gone around 2 full rotations yet? Is it on the second one? You might get a little confused. It really matters when you're doing something like 90 minutes, when you're trying to get toward the 2 hour mark and you're not sure where you are in this subdial. And so you look over at this register and it might be already at the 2. Anyhow, it's still a great watch. You just have to be really focused on these subdials, and I'm kind of blind, so I have to put it up close to my face to figure out what's going on. How long have I been out here? But you could figure it out if you really look at this positioning of the hour hand. Anyway, that's my watch ramble for the moment. I will be wearing the Speedmaster Professional this month of May. And I just want to touch on some goals now for the month of May, since I'm only going to be doing the hourly check-in or the monthly check-in. This might seem like if you're not into fasting, forward through this. The update for the month is I've done pretty well on April. I still have only lost 4 pounds since I've started this, but it's about 10 pounds overall. And and right away I dropped that 4 pounds, and it's been consistent all the way through. I think I have not lost more, even though I've been trying to make an effort, is because of my nutrition and what I eat. And I'll just show you an example of when I am eating. I'm kind of not really eating clean at all. Like this is vegan, like spicy tofu balls, like it's almost like chicken nuggets, but it's with tofu, and they're high fat, they're fried, and they're just drizzled in some delicious sauce. My wife is an excellent cook, and so I've been eating stuff like that when I do eat with rice. Sometimes I have a lot of veggies, so this is an example of a veggie meal with a whole bunch of veggies and some rice on the bottom. But I think my diet, and I've been eating ice cream vegan ice cream liberally during my eating window. So I know my diet is a bit sloppy, and if I clean that up a little, I do believe I'll probably see results, but it'll be very, I've done this before. This is not my first time at the rodeo with weight loss. I already know what works for me and what's most effective. And when I've been very successful losing weight as a middle-aged adult, the fasting protocols have been very helpful. So my update is that, for April, I'm going to focus more on fasting and more on longer walks with the Speedmaster. But if you want to go in depth and hear me ramble a little bit about fasting protocols and trying out what might work for you, some people don't believe in that. Some people believe that, hey, calorie reduction and exercise is the way to go. I do think that obviously calorie count, or your total number of calories and energy consumed, does make a difference. But for those of us who have trouble with portion control, and for those of us who don't want to be eating like 1,200 calories, because eventually your body adjusts to the fact that you're eating less calories. And what I've learned over time, when I have done my Fitness Pal and all that stuff, and you're tracking your calories, is that you constantly have to decrease that amount. And at a certain point, you're eating so few calories, little tiny meals, that it may not feel very satisfying. So that's why the fasting protocol for me works, because I can compress my calories into a certain window and it feels more filling. And then I just don't eat the other times and my body adapts. But from what I have learned in terms of losing weight, when I really have some serious weight to lose, a good fasting protocol that's longer than 20 hours is what works. So I'm going to experiment with alternate day fasting. If you object to that, so what? I know it works for me. I've done it before. It's not easy when you first get started. So my alternate day fasting pattern is something like, okay, eat Monday, fast Tuesday, eat Wednesday, fast Thursday, eat Friday, etc. And sometimes what we would do, because my wife has tried it with me, is we would eat, a little more freely on the weekends, but during the week, it was just like every other day eating. That really works for me. That will help me, still I'm not losing tons of weight, but it'll help me lose a few pounds a week and I can maintain it. And usually when I'm at work and busy in my life, actually fasting is not as hard because you're busy. So my body, for some reason, needs those, because I have a lot of fat. I have fat stored in my body, and it can turn that into energy. It can use to store glucose, etc. So for me, the fasting works. So my goal for May is to try one of those protocols. I'm already at 20 hours a day. It is going to be hard in the first couple of days. I feel like I might stumble a little bit, but that's okay. I'll keep trying so that by the end of May, I want to be on a regular fasting protocol that works for me, that also allows me to, enjoy eating when I'm eating, but just take a time out when I'm not. And I will see results in terms of inches, in terms of weight loss, a lot better that way. And like I said, guys, I'm going to be going back to work at some point in the office, and your girl is trying to fit my clothes, all my work clothes that had gotten too tight or too little. I need to fit into that stuff because I like those clothes. And B, I'm trying not to die. I need to reduce my risk. And this is a very serious time, obviously, that we're living in. And sort of make or break. I know I'm going to be around more people. I am vaccinated, but we still don't know a lot about that. So I really feel like the best thing I could do for myself is to get in better shape. And this is what I'm going to try. So thank you for supporting. I know there's several of you out there. Mark P, Random Rob, lots of folks who have posted, the Watchdog, Clayton from the Watchdog podcast. If you're working on your own fitness and health goals, please continue to chime in just so we can encourage each other. I will definitely, respond to your posts, and I'll let you know how I'm doing, and it does help me feel accountable to make these videos. So I think that's why the once a month check-ins are going to be the way to go. I also plan to make some more videos just about the watches in general. But guys, I think at a certain point, the watch obsessiveness has to be rechanneled, at least for me. It doesn't mean that I'm not into watches. I still am super obsessed about it. I still watch all the content and still comment a lot, but I still need to focus on some other things that are honestly, much more important. So for me, my goal for May is alternate day of fasting. Pray for me, people. It's not easy when you first get started. Today is a fasting day, and I feel really good, but it's not even 9 a.m. I feel really good. Talk to me at 6 p.m. when I've already passed my normal eating window and I'm like depressed. I won't really be hungry. I know my body. It's not real true hunger, but it's just psychologically I want to eat, So I feel great at 9 a.m. If at around 6 tonight, I'm going to be all depressed and moody about it. But I will be having my electrolytes and tons of water to power me through. And then tomorrow I will eat again, and it will be fine. So I'll keep you posted in the month of June, first week of June. Hopefully I'll have some good results to report, and I will do an update on this ring. And I have a couple of watch videos that I am going to make about a few different topics related to the watches. And I'm going to review the Royal Oak, guys. My wife has been wearing it for a couple weeks. She's got the first scratches on it. Oh, she's got the first major scratches. I couldn't do it. I couldn't wear it. So I was just too nervous. So she broke it in, and now I'm going to wear it and review the Royal Oak at some point soon. So more on all of that to come. Take care. Stay well. Peace.